I didn't actually wake up this morning thinking I was going to build a bird box. This only happened because I was looking through the pile of scrap wood, which got me wondering, does every allotment have a pile like this? I'm convinced it's almost a requirement. You can have the neatest plot on the site, but somewhere there's a stack of timber that's supposedly too useful to throw away. The funny thing is, every year I tell myself I'm going to be ruthless. Anything I haven't used for 12 months can go. Then a project like this comes along, and suddenly, the very piece I'd have thrown away turns out to be exactly what I need. Maybe we're all just better at predicting future projects than we give ourselves credit for. Or maybe we're just hoarders with a good excuse. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I do think allotments change the way you look at materials, though. Before I had a plot, a piece of old timber was just old timber. Now I can't help looking at it and wondering what it could become. A raised bed, a compost bin, a shelf, a cold frame, or apparently today a bird box. I've certainly started noticing birds far more than I ever used to. Not because I've suddenly become an expert, I definitely haven't, but because once you start paying attention, you realize they're busy all the time. Every visit feels slightly different, depending on who's around. There's a robin that seems to think the plot belongs to him. The blue tits never seem to stay still long enough to get a proper look at them, and blackbirds somehow manage to look busy even when they're standing completely still. It's funny the things you begin to appreciate. That does make me wonder, though, what actually makes a bird choose one nesting place over another. To us, a bird box is a bird box. To a bird, I imagine it's a rather important property decision. Too exposed, too much afternoon sun, too close to people, facing the wrong direction. I suspect they're far fussier than we realize, which is quite reassuring, really. We tend to think we're helping wildlife, but perhaps all we're really doing is offering another option. There's something refreshing about doing a job where success isn't entirely under your control. Actually, gardening is full of jobs like that. You can sow seeds at exactly the right time, prepare the soil perfectly, water carefully, keep the weeds down, and then the weather decides it's going to do something completely different. For years I found that frustrating. Now I think it's one of the reasons I enjoy it. So much of life is spent trying to control every outcome. Maybe that's why it feels so relaxing. For a few hours, you're allowed to stop pretending everything depends on you. I've often wondered whether that's why so many people disappear to their allotments when life gets busy. It's rarely the vegetables they're escaping to. It's the slower pace. The birds singing in the background. The excuse to spend half an hour doing something that doesn't need to be finished today. Come to think of it, this bird box is a good example of that. There's no deadline. No one's waiting for it. If it takes another hour, it takes another hour. If a bird moves in next spring, brilliant. If not, I'll probably tweak something and try again. And I think that's another lesson gardening quietly teaches. Not everything worthwhile gives you immediate feedback. Sometimes you do something simply because it improves the odds. You plant a tree knowing someone else might enjoy the shade. You build healthy soil knowing it'll pay you back over years, not weeks. You put up a bird box knowing you may never even see the family that uses it. That's quite an optimistic way to spend an afternoon when you think about it. You're making something for a creature you've never met, and probably never will. Maybe that's why little projects like this feel worthwhile. They're not really about the finished object. They're about quietly adding another small piece to a place that's always evolving. Every season changes it. Every project changes it. Every bird, bee, frog, and earthworm changes it a little bit as well. And perhaps that's the real attraction of an allotment. You never actually finish one. You simply become another part of its story for a while. Well, there it is. With a bit of luck, it'll have some new residents by next spring. I quite like knowing it's there, Whether anything ever nests in it or not, it's another small thing that's been added to the plot, and I suppose that's how allotments grow. One little project at a time.